All right. Thanks, Ross. Good morning. We are super excited to get back at it this week. Certainly had a much-needed break, much-needed off date. And, I think we took, good advantage of it from a lot of different aspects. Studying ourselves, getting back to some basics and some fundamentals of some things, and obviously getting a head start on Florida State as well, and then getting some guys healthy. It's been a weekly challenge as it has been for everybody, all year long. Just having continuity and consistency from week to week, but it's 2020. That's kind of like I said, the story for everyone, it seems. But proud of our guys, proud of how they worked last week. I think we had a really good weekend, and again, good start to the week yesterday. Guys are eager to get back going. It's hard to believe we've got, I think we got 18 days left in our season, and anything you get after that, you got to earn. 18 days, it's just crazy to be at this point. But we're excited about heading down to Tallahassee, and like I said, getting back at it. This is the team that is improving. I know their record is not what they want it to be, but from my eyes and as I really watch them and study them, they are improving greatly from where they were at the beginning of the year to where they are now. I think they are figuring out their personnel. Again, you're talking about, they don't have spring practice, and they don't have a summer, any of these things. So I think Mike and his staff have done an excellent job of kind of, like I said, figuring out who they are, what gives them the best chance to win, and they've done a nice job, man. They really have. They've got a lot of young guys playing. I think that are competing, and I think as a coach, that's what you want to see. Especially, you want guys that'll go compete. And if you watched the game the other night, and obviously the game had gotten away, and something that I really paid attention to was, how did they compete in the fourth quarter? And those kids continued to lay it on the line, continued to compete, even when the game was out of balance. And I think that says a lot about, the guys that they've got in there. Again, you look at them offensively, they're doing a lot of challenging things with their personnel. This quarterback he's a problem. That's the best way I can describe him. He's a problem. We've not done a great job, especially in our last game, of containing the quarterback and getting him on the ground when we have opportunities. And this guy is probably as good as you're going to see as far as making people miss, extending plays, creating scramble drills. He's a good player. He's a young player, and I think he's a guy that they're going to be able to really build around down there. So lots of play action, lots of manipulation, in their RPO game with their counters and, all their guard pull stuff and pop passes coming off of it, unbalanced, end over sets. They've done a nice job of trying to be multiple with some of their personnel to give themselves the best chance week in and week out. They've kind of settled in at the offensive line. They're really young, but they got guys that are competing, and they're not turning guys loose. I think that they've made a ton of improvement. They always got skilled guys that can run. Their running backs are very impressive. They're pretty much a two-back set every time the ball is snapped between the quarterback and the backfield and that running back. 8's a really good player. 0's a good player. 22's a freshman. He's a return guy too. He gets in there and creates some problems. He's a really quick kid. Very impressed. Good tight ends. But schematically, these guys know what they're doing, and we're going to have to really do a lot better defensively in just some of our basic fundamental things. Whether it be tackling, fitting things properly, getting off blocks, winning your matchups. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do a better job of, especially containing the quarterback. And then over on the other side, same thing. If you really go back and you watch them, say Miami all the way through, they have really improved. really improved. Same thing, I think, figuring out their personnel that gives them the best chance, moving guys around, getting them in different spots. They got two of the best-looking ends you're going to see in 11 and 13. These are, one's 6'7", one's 6'5", 6'6" guy. So, same thing. They got Nasaldine back last week. He's a really good player. The inside guys, big, strong, thick guys inside that do a good job. So, I think as a team, they've really, really improved. And for us, that's what we need to do. As we come out of this open day, we got to go get better. We got to go get better. We've had an excellent year to this point. I'm really proud of our guys and how they've competed, how they've managed a lot of different challenges, and to be 7-1 with all the challenges that we've had, I'm super proud of them. And but for us now, with, like I said, 18 days left, man, we got to go get better. We've got to improve in some areas, and that's what we're looking for in Tallahassee. Is us playing our best football. And we have a lot of respect for Florida State, but for us, it's about Clemson. It's about us, improving and being coachable and making some corrections and doing some things as coaches better as well as we go down the stretch here, starting this week. So again, just excited to get back at it, and look forward to a tough matchup down in Tallahassee.
Line is open for questions.
Hey, Coach, David TigerNet. My guess is that do they change a lot schematically between Chubba, Purdy, or Jordan Travis? Do you prepare for both, or do you just prepare for Florida State? And looking at that Pitt game, Jordan Travis was the difference until he went out.
Yeah, he's. Heck, he went. I guess he went about 90 or 95 against Pitt, coming off the goal line down there. Purdy runs the ball well. He's not 13, but there's not many people who are. That guy he's unique when it comes to his skill set. But they do what they do. They're committed to their scheme, and we just have to get ready for Florida State.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor from CUTigers.com. It sounded like talking to Coach Venables that you might not have Skalski this weekend. Can you give us an update on just all those other guys, Ladson, Mike Jones, Tyler Davis, Zanders, Bresee, all those guys that got banged up in the Notre Dame game as well?
Yeah, I think we're in a much better place. I'm glad we didn't play last week. It would have been a problem. So good Lord looked out for us there. I think Skalski is really doing well. He definitely is still not ready. He's not. I wouldn't say day to day. He's not ready this week. We're hopeful for him that he will be able to maybe get back with us next week. Ladson is going to be out. I think I've already said that, but he had a little spot in his foot that flared up at Notre Dame. So we had just gotten him back with his hip, and then he had a hot spot in his foot. So anyway, he's out this week. Same thing though. We're hopeful that we'll get him back next week. But everybody else is what I would say day to day, and so we're in a much better place, and hopefully that'll continue to be the trend, down the stretch here.
Dabo, it's Pete at AP. How has Trevor been coming back? And I guess it was really great to have him out there and just see him back in control of this team.
Oh, it's been great. He's chomping at the bit to play, and he's Trevor. He's just well prepared and focused, and really locked in to trying to get back out and lead the team and play his best football. So you know what you're going to get from 16. There's no doubt about that.
Health-wise, any lingering fitness issues or anything like that, or does he look like he did before?
No, he's fine. He's good.
Dabo, Dean in Charleston.
not just for Clemson, but for all college football. What's your level of concern with Thanksgiving coming up, the long winter break, and then, Christmas, that college football can get from here to through the postseason for all the postseason games?
Well, I would probably have more concern if the schedule wasn't set up the way it is. I mean, there's really not going to be much of a break. I mean, typically it's been, I know for us the last few years we've been in the championship game, and, we would play that championship game, and then, you pretty much have about a month. And as coaches, we would be on the road. The team would be off a week. We'd be on the road recruiting, and then it's, you're kind of recruiting, practicing. Players have a lot of free time. That really isn't the case. So I think the schedule gives us the best chance, to be successful. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to personal commitment, personal responsibility, and discipline. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to, and that's going to vary from program to program, person to person. And but our guys have done an awesome job. We certainly have had our challenges, and we'll continue to have issues, I'm sure, from time to time. I mean, the virus is out there. But for us, just speaking from Clemson's standpoint, I think that things set up well for us to have the best chance to be successful, simply because our students, we have Thanksgiving next week, and so our students are not coming back after Thanksgiving, because basically they were coming back for 2 weeks. So everybody going home for Thanksgiving, nobody's coming back. So it's really, we're pretty much going to just kind of, from our season standpoint, we'll pretty much, be in a pretty much empty campus as we finish up the semester for a couple weeks, and then nobody was ever here anyway during bowl prep. But this year, whoever's in the, if we play Virginia Tech, I mean, we don't have, if we're in the championship game, you play the championship game, and then you have maybe a day and a half, 2 days, and then you got to get ready to play again on the 1st if you're in the playoffs, if you were to make that. And if you're not in that, if you're in a New Year's Six Bowl or whatever, well, you don't have a lot of time. So it's not like guys are going to have a bunch of just dead time, So I think the structure of the way it's set up gives us a chance. Our students not coming back after Thanksgiving. Our guys are going to be here. We're here. We practice on Thanksgiving. So, but I think it's just going to depend, Gene, from place to place. And again, it just still ultimately comes down to personal commitment, personal responsibility, and discipline.
Thanks.
Yep.
Dabo, Larry Williams here. Just looking back at the last 2 games with y'all's handling of DJ, how are y'all in sort of, I guess with his still some soreness there in your handling of sort of design runs and things like that, just looking back?
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty limited, and it's not something that we really put out there, but he got hurt, and he obviously had to miss I guess it was it Georgia Tech? I think it was Georgia Tech. He couldn't play in that game, and but he's a lot better. He's a lot better. I'd have a lot more confidence, this week than we had, the previous 2 games, especially with Trevor being out. We were pretty thin at quarterback. So we had to just kind of pick our spots and hold our breath a couple times, but fortunately we got through it. And, unfortunately we're not 8-0, but we're 7-1. And yes, we would have liked to have had a little bit more flexibility in some things, but, that had nothing to do with us, losing to Notre Dame, that's for sure.
Does it make what he did that much more impressive that he didn't have sort of his full arsenal, I guess? Yeah,
there's no question. I mean, I'd be honest with you, I was concerned about him going into the BC game, and just his ability to be able to, with his soreness, be able to make the throws because he really couldn't practice the whole week before. And, man, he just did an awesome job. I mean, an amazing job, incredible. and he's tough, he's gritty, and the style of play, knowing the style of play we were going to see, you're playing a freshman quarterback. I mean, what are you going to do? You got number 9 in the backfield. Are you going to let him hand that ball to that guy? I don't think so. You're going to make this kid prove that he can. You're down at wideout. You got a freshman quarterback, and you got the best player in the backfield. You're not going to let that guy beat you, and it's pretty amazing what he's able to do. So I'm super proud of DJ and what he did against BC and Notre Dame, and I'm proud of our receivers. I mean, we made some huge plays, and guys have really stepped up. Again, we haven't had Frank. Joe has it's been a challenge there. But guys, we continue to find a way to move the ball and scoring a bunch of points and throwing the ball a lot, because that's what people are saying. Hey, we've had to prove we could do that, and I think that's, to me, I want to be able to run the ball better, but I think to win you got to be able to throw the ball. Quite honestly, because there's going to be times where people can stop the run. You better be able to throw it. So I think that's an area, kind of something that you focus on, kind of what you're not doing well. But for me, we're going to be able to run the football, especially with our ability to throw the ball and how we've been able to demonstrate that. That's going to help us, down the stretch here.
Coach, this is Trevor again. Mason Trotter played 46 snaps after Backhorst went down at Notre Dame. Just how did he grade in that game?
He did solid. I mean, he's going to be a good player. He got his nose bloodied a little bit, but I love Mason. He's tough. He's gritty. He's smart and competitive and going to give you every ounce of everything he's got. But he's a redshirt freshman, and he did some redshirt freshman things, and he did some really good things. So he's just going to keep getting better. But he's one of those guys that we're gaining some confidence in.
Dabo, it's Pete again. Obviously, down here in Columbia, they made a change. I'm guessing you got to know Coach Muschamp a little bit better simply because of what the two of you do in a state like this. I mean, your reaction to him and what happened to him this weekend.
Well, feel for him, his family, and listen, I know people say, everybody, he's getting money and this and that. Listen, this is his livelihood. This is his passion. He's got a wife. He's got kids. And it's not just him, he's got a whole team down there that came to play for him. They're all affected by this. Got an entire staff, kids, wives, people uprooting, moving, and we all know that. We understand the profession, but, I certainly, hate it and, wish him all the best, for sure.
Hey, Dabo, this is Grace Rayner with The Athletic. With the early signing period coming up next month, can you just kind of give us a sense of what it's been like to recruit and evaluate this year?
Well, fortunately for us, we over the past few years, the way recruiting has ramped up, we've been pretty fortunate that we've been able to really commit most of our class before we've really gotten into the season, outside of maybe a spot or two. So I think the biggest challenge has been, in the past we would have had a lot of juniors on campus throughout the season that we would have had, and we would have been able to go out and see them in person. So I think that's the biggest thing. And, I've always been trying to get it to slow down, and that's kind of where I am, and I think in a weird way it will slow it down to where, you're actually going to be evaluating seniors a little bit more going into next year, as opposed to kind of the way it's been the last couple of years, where you pretty much have moved on to the junior class by the time you get into fall. The seniors is pretty much, for us, have been done. But I hate it because there's a lot of schools out there that are still recruiting seniors heavily, and not being able to get guys on campus and things like that is a challenge. But, we've made the best of it. We've done everything that they allow us to do, we've spent a lot of time communicating virtually, Zoom, FaceTime, all that stuff. So, obviously you're watching the tape, you just don't get the personal part. I mean, it's a little unique, that you may have somebody coming to play for you that's actually never been to campus. We have potential for that to happen in this class. So, but we're in a good place for this class of 21. But for 22, compared to where we would normally be at this point, I'm not saying we're behind, but it's slowed down. And again, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but certainly the process is slower now than it was. And we typically don't offer a lot of guys anyway. So just gives us a little more time to evaluate tape and again, a little more get to know each other before they get on campus. But hopefully this spring things will get back to some normalcy and we can get back out on the road and the young people can get to the campuses and kind of add that piece to it.
Hey Dabo, it's Phil Kornblut. Tony Elliott and Billy Napier are two names that are being kicked around for that South Carolina job. What are you asking of Tony and your assistants about dealing with coaching opportunities at this point in the season? And what's your impression of what Billy Napier has done at Louisiana?
Our coaches, we're just getting ready for Florida State. Really that simple. That's our responsibility. As far as Billy's done an awesome job out there for sure. He's got a ranked team, done a great job. He's a heck of a coach, and think the world of him.
Coach
It's Josh from the Post and Courier. How has Xavier progressed from an endurance and stamina point over having the last week off? I imagine having this rest could help after some of the things he went through.
Yeah, he's gotten better. I mean, he's fortunately, originally he wasn't going to come back and play until the last few games. So technically, he wouldn't even be playing right now if the rules hadn't have changed. Because he was going to try to play in the 4 games toward the end and save a year, try to redshirt. But obviously the rules changed, so it allowed him to get back out there doing some football stuff, maybe a little early before he was fully ready. But so he's been kind of just working himself back that direction, and he certainly has made some improvement. And then he had to miss the first half of the Notre Dame game, and so hopefully he's going to be the best version of himself this year toward the end here.
Hey, Coach, it's Trevor again. I guess since we're talking about other coaches today, just curious how much you know about Coach Norvell. I guess you might maybe you've only talked to him virtually since he took the Florida State job, but just how much do you know about him?
Yeah, I didn't know him at all, prior to him getting the Florida State job, but he was one of the coaches. We met a lot since March as coaches every week, sometimes a couple times a week. And then I was on another separate committee, and he was actually on that, a much smaller group. So I've gotten to know him virtually. In fact, I don't even think I've ever met him. I don't think. But I've met him a lot virtually, so I think he's done it's been a challenge. I mean, again, I can only imagine you take over a job and you don't get a chance to really be with your team, have an off season, put new staff, all these things. But just watching them again, really from beginning to end, they have improved, and they're getting better in every area. And I think he's got some really good young pieces to build with. Schematically, they know what they're doing, and they're giving themselves the best chance to be successful. And they're competing. And I think at this point in the season, especially when your season hasn't gone the way you want it. I think that says a lot about the job they're doing. So, but don't know him, beyond that.
Dabo, it's Pete again. You mentioned your 2022 class and how the evaluation process kind of has slowed down, and that's been a bit of a positive thing. Are there some other adjustments or tweaks that you've made during this pandemic that you say, you know what, going forward, when we all get vaccinated, that seems like a good idea that we'll keep on doing?
I don't know that it's adjustments that we've made as much as the NCAA's just opened some things up, like our ability to communicate unlimited and things like that. I think that's been a positive. So I don't know how things will change once we kind of get back on a normal calendar. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then our some of the technology stuff that we've been able to use that the same thing they've allowed us to use. I think that's something that could continue to be a real benefit. We've done basically virtual visits as if you were here, and that's not really something that we've done in the past. So that could be something that could hang around for maybe some kids that have a hard time getting here, and that might be a way for them to kind of get a little better feel initially to where they may want to come and see it in person.
Anyone with anything else for Coach?
Dabo, Larry, Williams again. What's your, overall assessment of how y'all have affected quarterbacks this year with your defense?
We've done okay. Obviously, this past game, he had his way. We didn't affect him at all. He held the ball. He ran around. He scrambled, and it was obviously a problem. But overall, we're still one of the best sack teams out there and one of the best tackle for loss teams out there in the country. And we have been for a long, long time. So we're 7-1, and we lost in double overtime to a really good team at their place. And we've done a pretty good job for the most part. And even in that game, even in the Notre Dame game, they come out and score in 15 seconds, but then they went 59 minutes without a touchdown. So now third down, we've been an exceptional third down team all year, offensively and defensively. And that was, one of the differences in the game in our last game is, we had our worst game third down offensively, and we had our worst game defensively. They were over 50%, 10 of 19 on third down. And a lot of that was just, our inability to affect him and contain him. But, outside of the Notre Dame game, I think we've been pretty good if you really just look at the numbers, but we need to be better. Numbers-wise, we're probably, like I said, one of the best in the country when it comes to, sacks and TFLs and that type of stuff, but we've missed a bunch. We've had a bunch of missed tackles. We've had, opportunities to get guys on the ground some other times throughout the year, but the games were different. So we've played a lot of people and things like that, but we've done a nice job for the most part, but outside of one game, and that'll be a challenge this week for sure with this guy.
Dabo, this is Grace again from The Athletic. I know we've talked a lot about Cornell Powell, but just what has impressed you the most when you look at his start to finish evolution through all these years?
Well, he hung in there. He didn't run from the challenge. And everybody says, where's Cornell been? Cornell's always been here. Cornell had injuries early. In fact, we were getting ready. I think he was going to start against so I think it was his freshman year, and we were out in Arizona, and he was getting ready to. I think he was going to either start the game or he was going to play a lot, and he got hurt. So he missed some opportunities early, and with some injuries and things that set him back. And then, to be honest with you, he had to learn how to play fast. He's always been super, super talented, but he didn't play fast. If you line him up and you run him, he's going to run as fast as anybody you got. But he didn't play that way, and as a result, he got beat out by some guys, but it's not like he got beat out by scrubs. I mean, everybody that he's competed with since he's been here is playing in the NFL or has been there. I mean, you look at the guys that were here, from Artavis to Renfro to Dion to Ray to Ross, T. I mean, Amari. I mean, these guys, just were in front of him, and so he could have easily packed up and left. So I think the thing that impresses me the most about Cornell is he's taken coaching on, this is, and his perseverance. He's hung in there, and he's gone to work on the things that he needed to improve on, and that's why. And I saw that in camp. He had a desperation to him in camp that I had not seen, and that's something that we would always challenge him on. In some of the years past, he had a red shirt in the middle of his career. He had to end up redshirting because of injury. So he just putting it together, and then opportunity. Once all of a sudden, you get there and it's like, okay, well, just not as much opportunity because of T and Ross and Amari and those guys that were in front of him. And so now his opportunity has come. He's been able to stay healthy. But his work ethic, he's playing fast, and that's something that he had to learn and grow into throughout his career. So, I mean, I'm just really proud of him because, like I said, he has persevered, and what everybody's seeing right now from Cornell is what we saw in camp. I mean, I said that he was the best guy in camp. I mean, he was awesome, very, very consistent. He and Ngata, and then Ngata, has unfortunately battled injuries, but Cornell has stepped up big time, and now his confidence is really high, and it's just really good to see. So hopefully he'll be able to finish this thing up the right way. He's demonstrated that he can play at the highest level, and doing some things in special teams as well. He had doing a little bit of gunner for us on the punt team. So really, really proud of him. He's to me, that's what it's all about. Just hanging in there and continuing to grind.
Hey, Dabo, this is Mark Whiteman from WYFF. No secret, last week there were a lot of COVID cancellations and postponements across college football, leading to some, I think Bob Bowlesby said, delaying the college football playoff would be a last-case scenario, but certainly not impossible. I know prior to the start of the season, you said you wouldn't be in favor of delaying the playoff for teams that weren't starting until October or November, but as we get later into this thing, could you see an avenue in which delaying the playoff might make sense if teams in the picture are forced to continue to postpone games down the stretch?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams that they made that decision to not play. We've been going a long time. So I don't think the teams should be penalized that have been going for a long time. So, I mean, we're on whatever it is here, game 9, however many weeks, because we've had 2 open dates already. But, anything is possible for sure. But, my focus is just on these next 18 days and trying to have the best finish that we possibly can have here. And, there's nothing that's off the table when it comes to 2020, that's for sure. But I don't control any of that. Hopefully we'll just be able to, qualify for the postseason and have a chance to compete.
We've got time for 2 more questions. Anybody have anything else for Coach?
Yeah, Dabo, Larry again. Given how, bad the Bresee and Zanders injuries might have looked in the moment, do you feel like it's sort of the best case scenario, like how they've it seems, I guess, just based on what you said, they seem to be pretty minor injuries?
Yeah, I think, definitely best case scenario from what they could have been, and pretty hopeful with those guys.
Anyone with a final question for Coach? All right, move a final question.
Okay, appreciate it.
Everything up. Thank you all for joining us.